So in task 1, we looked at how the course currently exists. In task 2, we're going to look at redesigning and reorganizing the course. So let's look at Form 4. Form 4 is reorganizing content into modules. Now, when you looked at the forms in task 1, you put down the modules as it is currently existing. You do not need to follow the same module format when you are redesigning this course for the online environment. Some courses are organized in weeks. You might not want to do it week by week. You might want to have a module that spans 3 weeks. So in Form 4, you're basically looking at the existing content and seeing how you can reorganize it into modules that are more relevant for the online environment. And that's all you're doing in Form 4. So you're going to give module number and then the name of the module. Okay, now let's look at Form 5. In Form 5, we're going to get into a little more specifics. So Form 5, you have module number and name, which you populated in Form 4. So you take this information, put it here. But now for every module, you're going to identify some outcomes. You do not need to have all 5 outcomes. A module can have 3 outcomes. That's fine. But your outcomes have to be specific and measurable. Think of it this way. If I make a general statement saying students will understand adult learning theory, that's a very nice outcome, yes, but how do I know if the student has understood the adult learning theory? Is understanding just one, giving me the name of one theory? Does that mean they've understood it? Or should they be able to write a whole paper out of it? So how are you going to define that word understand? How will you make it more meaningful? Because words like understand are very vague. So a more specific outcome could be, at the end of this module, students will be able to list 3 adult learning theories, provide 2 advantages for 3 learning theories, provide 2 disadvantages for 3 learning theories. Now, if students can do all this, I know that they have understood the adult learning theory. So come down to specifics. And yes, it is behavioristic in some ways, but when we come down to measuring skills, it always comes down to behavioristic theories. Okay, so that's what you do in Form 5. Now, by now, you should have an idea of which group member is going to handle which module. So each of you is going to take ownership over one specific module. And so each person is only responsible for their module, which means you can all work together, you can all discuss and cross-check each other's work, but you're only responsible for one module versus having to work on 5 modules and a whole course. So depending on what your module is, come up with the outcomes for your module. Okay, let's look at Form 6. So Form 6 is again a further development. So now that you have identified the outcomes, what are the activities that you're going to do? So if I said that my outcome was students will be able to list 3 adult learning theories, what kind of activity am I going to give to test that outcome? Is it a quiz? Is it a paper? Is it a discussion posting? So decide on what module activity will test those outcomes. Okay, so remember, everything is now in alignment. The name and topic of the module will align with what outcomes you want, and the the activities you design will have to suit the outcomes that you're aiming for. And Form 7 will focus on the assessments for those outcomes. So activities and assessments can be the same, may not be the same. Now, for example, one activity could be reading the textbook. That's an activity. Another activity could be making discussion postings. Discussion postings can also be an assessment because you can grade the discussion posting. So we are now flowing from identifying the modules, what are the outcomes for the modules, what are the activities in each module, and finally, what are the assessments. If you notice, it's very basic information. It's almost one-liners that we're looking at over here. Just one line information. You don't have to explain every activity. You don't have to explain the assessments. You're basically looking at identifying what are the things that are going to be there. And that will be task 2.